Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, no matter where you're calling from. It's great to see you today. We may be tipping on record numbers in today's webinar, which is super exciting. So if you're back once again for another feature update, welcome back. It's good to see you again, and it's great to see so many familiar names in the chat. And if this is your first webinar, welcome. My name's Mike. I'm one of the co-founders here at Waybook. And I think I say this on a few different webinars, but this is actually my favorite part of the month. It is my favorite time to spend the next 30 or so minutes with you, exploring some of the fundamentals that have gone out into Waybook since we last spoke, and giving you some insights in terms of how you can best use that to make your Waybook gleam. So, for those of you who have not been here before, we like to keep this as interactive as possible. So please feel free to say hello in the chat, perhaps just say hello and where you're calling from. We always have a lovely international bunch of people here. We also have the fantastic Diego in the background, one of our account executives and account managers here at Waybook. Many of you may already be familiar with Diego. So as we move through today's sessions, please feel free to say hello, to ask any thoughts or questions, put anything you want in either the chat or in the Q&A. I will keep my eyes and ears everywhere. So if you've got something coming up, I'll try and be as responsive as possible. Hello to Liam, hello to Erin. It's great to see you guys back again. Okay, the reason why I'm doubly excited today is because we have some big updates which are either out or just about to come out into your Waybook account. The eagle-eyed amongst you might have seen these already, but we're going to dive into them in a slightly deeper depth here to get a little bit of a sense of how you can maximize them within your Waybook. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through what we're going to cover. First of all, we're going to be looking at org chart. So some of you might have seen it. We've seen from the data already, a lot of people are already building out your org chart. We're going to look at how that works, why it's valuable, how to best utilize it. And then we're also going to look at the AI role chart builder as well. If you don't want to sit there and do all of the work yourself, we've got some smart Waybook AI in order to do that for you. We also have just launched into your account news, and I will explore what news is, how it works, and where it lives. We also now have a polls feature, which is live on accounts. We have a new link type. So if you want to have click to call telephone links, we've got an update to the publish modal to give you more control over who is seeing what and have that next level of confidence to make sure that the right people are getting the right level of access and, of course, notification. And then we also are looking at the Markdown Importer, which is another way of getting your content in there as well. So without further ado, I'm going to dive straight in because we do have a lot to cover today. And we're going to start off with Org Chart Builder. Now, if anybody has ever tried to create an org chart anywhere, you'll know that the tools are just rubbish. It's so hard to create a good organizational chart that has the right level of knowledge and the right level of information that you can share with the rest of your team so people know where that lives, and basically you don't need a computer science degree in order to create. So the reason why we created this is because we know it's really important for your team to have that visibility across your businesses, to see who they're working with, where other parts of the business are and how that works. And also we know that it's useful to show their levels of responsibility, perhaps the knowledge they need, the progression that they might have. So what we've done is we've created a very easy to use yet extremely powerful org chart builder, which actually is very robust, both from a creation and also a viewing perspective. We've created also a role chart builder as part of org chart. So one chart is your roles, within the organization, who reports to what, where the roles are, what those roles' responsibilities are. And then separately, we've created a member chart. So these are two different things, but look and feel relatively similar. So we're going to explore those differences. We've also got the ability for you to create that with AI, which we'll have a look at. You can also export that if you needed to share it with people outside of your Waybook. And how you access this is already in your account. It's viewable on all of your Waybook readers if you toggle that on. And essentially anybody in your team who is a manager or above has the ability to edit and contribute to the org chart. So let's dive in and take a little look at what org chart is. Now, this lives within your organization. So if we head into organization, we can go to org chart. It's important to note that if a member within your organization doesn't have manager or admin access, which basically means they can't manage the people within your Waybook, then they won't see members or groups. It will just be straight into org chart. Now, here we have this org chart which I've created for Studio 6. And there's a few different ways that we can manipulate and play with this. So firstly, you'll notice that I'm in edit mode. Of course, as with everything within Waybook, if I'm off edit mode, then we'll see exactly how that looks for other people, for them to kind of go in and look around the organization. But let me just look in, keep in edit mode for now. So basically, the difference is we can kind of move the order of people, obviously add people, make all the different amendments. Now, before I dive into the creation and what exists within an org chart, let's just have a look at the couple of views that people can have. So if we wanted, we can collapse everything down, and now we can start to look at the organization on a layer by layer basis. So we might look at the one person there, perhaps a CEO, then we can look at the next level. No matter where you are within your org chart, if you click the reset chart position, that will basically show you everything that you have expanded within that organization. You can always use the collapse and fully expand to make sure that you're seeing either hardly anything or everything of the organization. Now, you can see here that you've got the zoom in and zoom out, but what I like to do here is just pinch and scroll. This is an org chart canvas, so it's very easy to navigate. And of course, traditionally, org charts are this kind of shape and structure, top down. But if you wanted to have it horizontal, that is also possible by just clicking this arrow here and switching between a horizontal and a vertical view. So these are some of the key things that you might want to do as a reader when you're looking at the org chart. But let's actually dive into what information lives within the org chart. So if we click on an individual on an individual role, and just to preface this, we are looking at roles rather than members, we can actually then see what is that role title, as we can see there, a brief description of the role, and also the core responsibilities that live within that role. We have the ability to create tags, and we're seeing already that people are using this for departmental areas. You might be using it for responsibility levels or perhaps even location. So whatever works best for you to utilize tags for, and you can have multiple tags. They're color coded, you customize exactly what they are. Now, within each role, we also have as many members as you like. So this pulls directly within the members from your Waybook, and you can also add external members to an org chart as well. So if you have an agency, for example, that looks after your social media ad buying, you can still have that as a role and have the agency in rather than the individual. And then if we look at the documents, you can actually connect any associated documents for that role. So I'm going to just go into the edit mode here. And as we go into the edit, I'm able to then go into any of these individual roles. Let's say we want to look at the HR manager. So we create the HR manager, we've got who they report into. If we wanted to move where that person reports, we can of course click onto that. It will show any other person. So say if we wanted to put the HR manager for some reason under the finance manager, let me just do finance manager, and then that will move all of that person and their associated roles within that. But for the sake of ease, I'm going to push that back to the CEO. We also then, for each role, you can see you've got your description, your responsibilities, and your tags, as well as the ability to then just add in the members. So let's add Benji in there as our HR manager, or those non-team members if you wanted to add in, let's say, Billy. So that is some of the fundamentals of how you can kind of create your roles. I'm also just going to head into documents because this is where you can now associate documents from within your Waybook to the role itself. Now, it's important to note that this won't give anybody additional permissions. Your user access permissions will still all be managed within the groups in the same way that you're used to. But if you just wanted to connect some of their core documentation that is perhaps relevant to their responsibilities, you can do that so it kind of keeps everything neatly together. So that's some of the fundamentals of how you can kind of optimize and create. But if we're starting from scratch, I believe most of us will kind of know the structure of the org chart and putting those information in. But let's say, for example, we want to just picture the future. And let's say we wanted to add in a marketing department for this business. So I'm going to generate with AI, and I'll say here, add a marketing department, and let's say for a legal practice. So you can put any information that you want. Now, what Waybook will do is it will actually then start to structure out what it thinks that best structure of the org chart will be, and then generate what its suggestions are. So here we've kind of actually created the whole excuse me, um, legal practice that I've put in here. But you'll see here we've got the marketing department. So we've got the CMO, the marketing manager, the brand strategist, content specialist, and social media coordinator. Now, of course, it's very easy to delete out the additional pieces if you didn't want that. But if we dive into the CMO here, it's created the role title, and then we can actually then generate the description and the responsibilities. Now, again, if we wanted to look at this, and actually just for the sake of ease, I'm going to change the color of that tag. So let's just make that a slightly darker color. And we'll put that in here. So that then basically means that we can amend our tags, do whatever. But if we wanted to generate the documentation for this, so the description and the responsibilities, you can just hit this generate with AI button, and that will actually, based on a traditional CMO, create the description and also the responsibilities that we can, of course, delete, add, edit, amend, whatever you need to best match your organization. So that is some of the fundamental ways of editing within your org chart. But typically we will see that you'll create this org chart once and you might add additional roles as it comes together. So we've got some questions in the chat, so I'm going to answer these questions. We've got who is responsible, the person responsible who feeds the org chart. So anybody with manager or above permission, so manager or admin, can actually come into the edit mode of the org chart and you can create that. Omid has said, will there be reporting settings that shows you can print the physical copies to show some sort of certification that the employee has finished your subject or content? Okay, that's not an org chart question, but it's a great question. Yes, you can do that within reports, Omid, and we can come back to you with some more information on that. And then regarding the org chart, you said, is there a printable version of it? Yes, very timely question. So actually, if you wanted to export this version, then we can just center it, click to export, and that will actually then pull an image of it, which will essentially then just mean that you have a printed version of the org chart, which I'll just show you here because it's created itself as an image. So all of these different elements are available within your org chart builder, and everything that we've looked at so far is looking at our role chart. So the role is, once again, what the role is, who they report to, what the description is, and what their responsibility and tags are. You'll also see within the org chart area, we have the members chart. Now, the members chart, each individual node is a individual user. So where you might have 3, 4, 10 people that have the same role, this is really where we can show those reporting lines and where people live within the organization. Now, if we go into each individual user or individual person, we essentially can see who they report to, what their title is, and we can add more additional information to that individual user. And here it's very easy for us to just add a person. We select who that person might be, and then we can add those specific pieces of information. Now, of course, if we need to move those people around, it's very easy for us to change who they report to. And of course, you can have multiple people reporting to one person within the member chart as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the introduction to org chart, both roles and members. If anyone does have any other thoughts or questions, then please do let me know, and I will keep my eyes and ears on the chat. So without further ado, let's head into our second feature, which we have launched for today, and that is the organization news. Now, this is a really big update, which has just gone out into your accounts, but if you've not yet seen the difference, I'll show you exactly what it is and how it works. So organization news basically enables you to extend the value of Waybook as becoming your single source of truth. So we see quite a lot of people within Waybook actually sharing news and memos and updates, and you're doing that within a document. So a lot of people will have a news document and add a new step every time they want people to come in and look at that information. Now, whilst that's still great, if there's knowledge that doesn't live within a document, you can now create that with news. So what that essentially is the ability to generate, to share news articles within your Waybook. And also it enables you to create, publish, share, and receive reactions back to the news that you're sharing. Now, it's viewable on the dashboard, and also people can then look at it within the news view, which actually is available within your organization's tab. So this is available in all accounts, and similar to org chart, it's in a similar place. So it's about the organization, and that lives within organization. So I'm going to head back into our Waybook account here, and we're going to have a quick look at how we can actually create and set up some news. So firstly, heading into here, you'll notice that this tab here on the dashboard, which was previously your welcome message, is now your news tab. It's a scrollable tab, which basically has all of the updates, all of the news, which is dated, and you have the headline and the brief description as well. Now, you'll notice that I still have a welcome message here, and that's actually just because this is a news article that's just been pinned. So anybody who previously had a welcome message on their dashboard and would like to keep that there for everybody, it basically means that they can have a pinned version of any of their news to make sure that always stays at the top. So I'm now going to go into organization to have a look at how we create some news. So again, organization, and head over to the news tab. Here we can see all of our previous articles. And if we wanted to create a new article, believe it or not, you click on create new article. And this is where we can now just start to create out whatever news we wanted to. So let's say within this made up agency, we've just had a new client win. We might actually put that information in here. Again, we can use the text, we can type, we can put whatever we want within there. And similar to what you can do in other forms within Waybook, we can edit this, format this, amend this, add in links, images, videos, whatever is necessary to kind of share that news in the best possible way. So I'll just drag an image into there as well, and kind of make this look a little bit nicer and ready to share. So now we've created a bit of news, we're ready to publish it. But we also want to have a summary, because the summary is what exists on the dashboard. So that kind of headline and the additional context. So I'm now going to generate. And when we generate that, of course, you can write it yourself, but everything in true Waybook AI fashion, just click a summary. It will ingest the news and create a short summary ready for the news. We decide whether or not we want to pin that news, and if we want to allow other people to have reactions. And then similar to a document, we just publish that. And if we head back over to the dashboard, we will now see that the top unpinned news article is that client win with the headline and also the summary. So Molly, you just said, is it possible to make the news bigger, and make it the biggest box at the top of the dashboard, so it's the first thing they see? So if I go into reader mode here, it actually is the first box which you see. And instead of trying to see all of your news within there, as a reader, if you click on a news article, it will actually take you directly to that news article. So this is me in the reader mode. I'm able to read it, review it, and I can actually kind of give some reactions on there. So this is where you can build a bit of conversation and interaction about that. Liam, you've got a great question there about, can you link a document to a news article? Yes, you can. So actually, if we head back into the edit mode of this article, then what you can do is you can create obviously a link, and you can link that directly to the URL of it. Now, if you wanted it to be an integrated link, then of course, let's say shout outs to our amazing closing process. And then actually, if we highlight closing process, we can then click on the Waybook link and then decide, okay, from the sales handbook, we actually want to connect this in with our kind of follow-up procedure. So that will actually be an internal link, so you can put all of this together. So I can see there's quite a lot in the chat, so forgive me whilst I just glance over and make sure I'm answering all of these questions. So Omid, when an employee asks a question to an AI feature and the content is in news, will it pick it up? That's a great question. Currently, no. So the AI search and all of your AI, AI ask is still only for your knowledge. So really what we see with the Waybook Ask and Search is it's your confirmed knowledge. So if there is pieces of information that's in news that you actually wanted to be integrated within search, then it's worth putting that into the relevant piece of knowledge and documentation. But we will take that under consideration. I think it's actually a really good question. So Erin, regarding news, you've said, testing this out, can an article be customized to be delivered to a specific user or default to everyone? Currently, it is actually available to everyone. So there's no permissions on news. They're organization-wide. And you've also said, will it include PDF of FAQs? Do not want to use the real estate. Yeah, so you can actually embed and attach files and documents in PDF to a news article. Erin, you've also said, can an article expire similar to a verification date in documents? Currently not, so it won't be an automatic expiration, but you can unpublish a news article. So if I go back into here, I can of course delete it, but what you might want to do is you can switch that to draft, and then if I go back to the dashboard, that is then no longer on the dashboard as well. Omid, you've said, in addition, when the news is published, will the employee get an email notification with the news information in their email, or will they be directed to Waybook? So currently, notifications are not on for news, but that's something that we're currently working on. As I mentioned, this is something that's literally brand new. So in the coming weeks, you will get your notifications on news. And also, we're working on a more improved weekly summary where we'll be extracting that news, if you desire, into those emails as well. Yeah, and Aaron, just on the point about permissions, currently news is not permission based, so you can't send it to one group or not. Again, if you wanted to send specific pieces of knowledge or information, you can still use the document structure, but the news is organization-wide news. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and questions. I think I've answered them all. If I have missed one, please do let me know. The one I know I've missed is Liam, you've asked, how do roles and member charts interact? So separate. Currently, they are separate, and that is the intention. So of course, they interact by having the user on them. So as the CEO, the member that you add within there, that member also can live within your within your org chart as well. So that's the kind of level of interaction. Amazing. Okay, so that is org chart and organization news. I told you it was a big one today. We've got a lot that we're going to go through. Omid, you've said, is it possible to make the homepage more customizable, like color changes for each section, news, incomplete section, etc., to make it more engaging? So we actually do have customizable dashboards. So if you go into settings and you go to dashboard and you allow personal dashboards, what you can do then is when I'm in edit mode, I can actually create a new dash, and I can then basically design my own dashboard by adding a new widget. So let's say, for example, I just want a big search box with previous searches. I then might want another one, which is just organization update. So I think, Molly, you asked that earlier. I'm just going to have that as the main thing when people come in. And then also I'm going to have, let's say, the kind of links on our Waybook or the progress or whatever that may be. So you can currently create individual dashboards and toggle between your default or your personal dash. The big caveat there is that a personal dashboard is just that. It's a personal dash. So currently you cannot set a dashboard and put it across your whole organization. But ladies and gentlemen, watch this space. That is something on our roadmap and it's creeping towards the top. So you can set a dashboard which is perfect for you, and then you can push it across the whole organization. Now, this is something we talk about a lot internally, about what's the most important thing for people to see when they see it and have access to their, recently viewed and searches and things like that. If you've got any particularly strong thoughts, opinions, or requests on that, please do let us know, because that is something that we're always working on. Amazing. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Let me dive back into the third update for today's session, and that is organization polls. So I'm really excited about this because essentially if you ever want to have a finger on the pulse, you want to gather insight, get a quick sense check, ask people, and also to just boost people's engagement back into Waybook whilst getting feedback, whilst making people feel heard, you can now create polls within your Waybook. So you can generate and share polls directly within your Waybook, asking, sharing, and receiving those responses. Now, again, it's viewable on the dashboard, and you can do that once again within the organization settings, and it is also available in all accounts. So let's create a poll. Let me head over to the dash again. Now, if I go into organization, we've got org chart, we've got news, but we also have polls. So very similar to how we were actually creating creating news, we can create a poll. Let's say that this is going to be called Friday Office Treats. So I'm going to ask a question. So what treats should we have delivered to the office on Friday? And it's been a pretty good month at this made-up agency called Studio 6. So again, we can just kind of create some options that we wanted to put in there, and you kind of get the impression here. We can have as many options as we like, as many poll options, and essentially once we've created a bit of a poll, we can then make a few decisions. So do we want to pin that to the top of the organization updates? Do we want to enable entries? So of course you want entries, but once you're ready to close the poll, you just simply toggle this off. And then you also choose whether you want people to see the results. So if you're asking for something that you want more as required anonymous feedback, then you can actually not have display results. But if it's something to kind of make people feel engaged and heard, then of course you can display the results. So I'm now going to publish that poll, and we'll head back over to the dashboard, and you'll see here the first thing under, and this is obviously ordered by pinned first and then time-based after that. We can then come into here, we see we've got a poll, what treat should be delivered. So that is the question you see in that headline. And once we go to vote, we'll see all of those options. And I'm not actually that much of a gelato guy, so I'm going to go for the DIY donut wall, and I'm going to submit that. Now, because we have show results on, I will be able to see how many votes. And of course, if I change my sweet tooth by before Friday comes, I can actually change that vote as long as entries are still enabled. So if we go back into that poll management, what we're able to do here is we can actually remove display results and remove allow entries. And if we publish that, then what you'll see is I now don't see those results, and also I can't contribute it because the poll is closed, but I can see where I voted. So that brings us largely to the end of polls, just scanning images here. So Emily, can that be made required? Unfortunately, polls and news are not required. Once again, if you want the tracking, if you want the permissions, if you want the insights, then you can put that into documents. But Emily, if that is a request, then I will take that as a request if we want it to be a required document, a required aspect. Let's have a look in the chat here. So yeah, okay, Erin just wants the gelato and donuts. Amazing. Okay, Casey, can you customize polls to add images on it? No, you currently can't, but that is a fantastic idea. So obviously this is set up to kind of have core pieces of information. Obviously I've used an emoji here to make it more interesting, but we will absolutely take that feedback because that is a great idea. If you want people to decide between different icons or colors or logos or themes, whatever that may be, I can definitely see how images would be super valuable there. Okay, amazing. Well, that is our third feature for today. So we've got organization, org chart, organizational news, and organization polls. Let's head on to the final three updates. Now, the caveat here is that the next updates are not quite as massive, but they are valuable things that I have no doubt will get you more value when you're using your Waybook account. So one of them here is the update to the publish modal. So one thing we noticed is that when you're publishing a document, sometimes people were heading back into the permissions on the document to see exactly who did or didn't have access. And also we noticed that we sometimes people were not having documents requiring completion. And obviously, if something requires completion, then it basically means that they have to complete it. They'll get notified and it will contribute to their progress. So what we've now done is we've improved the document modal publish, which basically means that once you come to publishing a document, it will list who has access and who's going to get notified. Now, you can access this in all accounts. You can see it just by going to a document publish. Of course, in true fashion, I will show you exactly what that looks like now. So if we go into this document here, let's make a small amendment. And when I go to publish, not only will it decide if it's a major or a minor change, it will specifically say that this notifies 5 groups with 12 members who have completion on. And obviously, if it's a minor change, then we don't notify people. So that's if we're making an edit. If I create a new document, and let's just get to the publish modal here, it will actually specifically say that this, based on the subject that it's in, is readable by 7 groups and 14 members, and it will notify 5 groups with 12 members who require completion. So they're the ones that have the notification, the tracking, and also it will contribute towards their progress as well. So that is a change that I really believe will have a good impact in terms of us making sure that you've got all of the kind of confidence you need when you're publishing your updated documents. Now, the penultimate thing that we're going to be covering today is our Markdown Importer. So a Markdown Importer is basically the ability for us to have additional import sources. So many of you know you can import from Word, from PDF, you can use Waybook shots, you can do all sorts. But sometimes people have documents that are exported in Markdown from a different format, and it can be a bit of a difficulty creating and doing all of the editing that's necessary. So what we've got here is a new Markdown import option, which is available in all accounts. It's available in your document importer, and it's something that you can use right away. So if I head back into our Waybook document, our Waybook dash, of course we can import. And if we're importing a document from scratch, we've got Word, PDF, Waybook Shots, Tango, Markdown, or of course you can use our custom migration team. So you can access this by creating that, just clicking on there and pasting your Markdown in directly. The other way that you can do this, if I come off of that, we can create, let's say we'll create another office security document. And instead of using any of our templates, AI Writer, or starting from scratch, we can also access the import. So if we know what document and where it is, we can do it from there. And I can jump directly into this, and I've got a little bit of Markdown here. So we can paste that Markdown, and if any of you are familiar with Markdown, it's almost like very high level code that a lot of places will export. And what that will do is it will just put it all in with the headlines, with the bullet points, with whatever. Now, the key difference here is, of course, you can copy and paste from documents, but this has actually brought this in as a header. It's brought this in as a as a bullet point, as a numbered list. So it basically just maintains all of the editing integrity of that document that you've brought it in. So that is, ladies and gentlemen, our last thing that we're covering in today's session. But I am aware that I've actually missed one. Who knew? So we're going to jump in just to the final update which we've got, and that is our telephone links, which interestingly doesn't seem to be showing when I'm showing my slides. So we don't need slides. Who needs slides? So what we now have the ability to do is if I head into a document, and let's say, for example, I want to add a call link. So if we go into team structure, and you might have an information of how to contact people. This could be internal, this could be people externally. If I go into the edit, and let's say, for example, I want to turn this into a link. I'll do Command K, or of course highlight and click the link. And instead of putting in a link, if I just say tell semicolon and put in the number, that will then make that a direct callable link. So if I look at that from a reader's perspective, when I click that link, it will now open it up in whatever dialer, caller, connection that you have on your laptop. And of course, if it's in the mobile app, then that will also be directly calling that person. So you can either hyperlink the number, or you can say call John, and do the exact same thing and have John's number on a tail link there. So yes, of course, Aaron. So the keystrokes that I'm doing there is Command K on Mac, which would also be Control K on any PC as well. Now that's if you want to do it on keyboard. If not, you can highlight and click up there within links. Whilst we're talking about Command K, the other thing to just bear in mind is once you're in your Waybook account, if you're actually anywhere within your Waybook, you can just slash and it will pull up the search. And also, if you did Command K, not in a document, it will actually then just take you to a list where you can say, okay, let's do a new member. And you can basically then do any of your kind of core actions from that as well. So there's lots of things if you wanted to just stick to your keyboard. Emily, is there a way to pop out to schedule a Teams meeting? Ooh, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that that's something we can figure out. Let me come back to you on that. I would definitely come back because I think that's a great option. Emily's also said that Control K doesn't work on a PC. Now this just shows how Mac I am. If anybody does know the PC equivalent of Command, please be a legend and put it in the chat, because that is something that you will be able to do. Version of Command K. Okay, it's Control and F. Thank you, Erin. Yeah, Control F and then K. You'll be able to do that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us very much towards the end of today's session. Thank you so much for being as engaged as always. Now, as you know, we're always building on lots of exciting stuff within Waybook. Next up, we actually have notifications on news and polls, as you mentioned, and also quite a lot of really good insight and feedback here. So I will collate from the chat and the conversation that we've had. If anybody has any specific requests, optimizations on things you've seen today, or of course anything else that you've experienced in Waybook, please do let us know. The other thing that we're working on that is very much underway is having gamification and achievements within Waybook. So this is really celebrating yours and your team members' progress, interaction, completion in a way that will be much more engaging for your team. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to thank you all so much for your time today. I hope that some of these are exciting updates for you, as they certainly are for me. And if there's any other thoughts or questions, I will just keep my eyes on the chat and the Q&A. But without that, I'd like to thank you all so much for joining today, and I wish you all an amazing week. And together, we will continue to get your business on the same page so we can all enjoy some smooth scaling. Until next time, have a great one.